Hey everybody, Chris Englebert with Englebert Financial Advisers in Allentown, Pennsylvania with the weekly Rotella QCast update. We are going to talk about why you don't want to have an annuity inside of an IRA. This is something I'm very passionate about because I've seen a lot of abuse over the years by putting annuities inside an IRA. Now, we all know what an IRA is. An IRA is a tax-deferred account that the IRS allows you to set up, and you can contribute so much money per year. Then once you're over the age of 59 and a half, you can begin to withdraw funds from an IRA. Now you're going to pay taxes on them as ordinary income, but they've compounded the returns tax deferred for how many years you've had the IRA. And we all remember at 72 and a half, you have a required minimum distribution. So the great thing about an IRA is it's a tax deferred account where you can compound your investment returns tax deferred. As Ben Franklin said, compounding interest is the best mathematical formula out there. Now, let's talk about an annuity and how annuities work. And people get very confused with annuities because there's all different kinds of terms floating around about annuities. There's something called an immediate annuity, but you have to remember this. Annuities are put out by insurance companies, and they are regulated much different than mutual funds or ETFs or separately managed accounts. But the main thing you want to remember about an annuity is that an annuity is also a tax-deferred account. So the real question is, once you understand how an annuity works and you put $100,000 into an annuity and it grows tax-deferred, and at some point in the future, you take that money out, you then pay taxes on it, that's how an annuity works. And that's what most people use annuities for. But one of the things that we see constantly with other advisors out there and other investment firms is we see annuities put inside of an IRA. So if an IRA is a tax-deferred account and an annuity is a tax-deferred account, why are you putting one tax-deferred account inside another? Now, what drives me absolutely crazy is you hear all the time on the radio, depending upon where you live, crash-proof retirement, attend a seminar, we'll give you a free dinner. Well, they don't tell you a lot of these things at free dinners. And one of the things you have to remember is that annuities are regulated by the state insurance agencies. So what that means is if you've got a fraud situation or something happening, and again, annuities are not, you don't have to worry about a good annuity company and having a fraud. But what you do have to understand is, why are you putting an annuity inside of an IRA? Now, the number one reason why we see annuities inside of IRAs and why you get invited to these free dinners is because of the commission to the financial advisor. It is anywhere from 8 to 15%. So, for example, if you have a 401k and you roll it over to an IRA and your particular advisor suggests that you do an annuity inside the IRA, that person is making $8,000 to $15,000 when you roll that money over. That's why they can afford to give you a free dinner. And some of these places advertise these free dinners literally on a monthly basis. Now, what's been happening in the last couple of years is you hear two different terms that you really need to understand: a guaranteed income annuity. And after the 2008-2009 global financial meltdown, and after the pandemic, people were like, wow, you're going to give me a guaranteed income annuity? That's a great idea. I've got this $500,000 401k. I'm going to roll it over and I'm going to put it in a guaranteed income annuity. What they don't tell you is the amount of fees and expenses that you pay inside of a guaranteed annuity many times are north of 2.5%. To have a guaranteed income annuity. The other thing that they don't tell you is that these guaranteed annuities are basically a 60-40 stock and bond portfolio. And what they're hoping is that you don't start turning on the guaranteed income for at least 10 to 15 years. Because if you turn on the guaranteed income of 4, 5, 6%, and you turn it on too early, you're actually getting your own money back is what you're doing. So guaranteed income annuities are a big buzzword. You really need to understand them. You need to know what they are. The other one are indexed annuities. These indexed annuities drive me absolutely crazy because they advertise all the time. Participate in the stock market on the upside, but get none of the stock market decline on the downside. How can they do that? Well, what they do is they do give you a floor of 0% loss. But if you look at the index annuity and how it's structured, say to the S&P 500, if the S&P 500 is up 17% for the year, they may have a cap of 8 or 9%. So I ask you, who makes the other 8 or 9%? If the stock market's up 17, they give you 8. Who's making the other 9%? You got it, the insurance company. So one of the things that we suggest that you do, and we strongly recommend, is ask questions. Whoever's selling you, and this is what it's done, it's called selling. Who's ever selling you an annuity inside an IRA, ask them, hey, is this an annuity? And why is it being put inside my IRA? And oh yeah, by the way, what's the commissions on this? If they don't tell you what the commissions are on it, you need to get up out of the meeting and walk away. How long is your money tied up for? The other little dirty secret about annuities inside of the IRAs is some of them have as long as a 15-year back-end sales charge. What that means is if you put $100,000 in, the first year you pay a 10% back-end sales charge. If you decide to get out of it, this next year it's going to be 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1, to as long as 15 years to get out of some of these products. So again, you've got to ask questions. You've got to protect yourself. You've got to ask, why am I putting a tax-deferred annuity inside of a tax-deferred account such as an IRA? What are the advantages of it? And from our standpoint, we see none at this particular time. If you have any more questions on this, feel free to contact me. We can give you some more in-depth ideas on what's going on out there. And as always, we want to thank the QCast crew for putting this together, and we'll be back next week.